It's Two on the Aisle with me, Charles Gross, and Leslie Hoban Blake. Tonight, reviews of Connector, Approprate, 5, and Merrily We Roll Along. Welcome to Two on the Aisle. I am Charles Gross.
And I am Leslie Hoban Blake. Welcome to Two on the Aisle again.
Show that tells you everything you need to know about the theater.
Everything.
Yes. Whether you want to hear it or not. Our first show for the evening comes with quite a pedigree. Book by Jonathan Mark Sherman. Music and lyrics by Jason Robert Brown. Conceived and directed by Daisy Prince. I am talking about The Connector. And this is fictional but based on fact about a magazine in the city that for years prided itself on telling the truth, and they hire this hotshot young reporter who comes up with these brilliant articles. But there's a problem. As we find out, he's not all he's cracked up to be. And I will say no more.
Well, the thing is this a subject for a musical? That's my first question. And if you have an answer for that, I'll go on.
I do. My feeling is, ever since I saw March of the Falsettos, and the opening line for that show is 4 Jews in a room bitching, I have come to the conclusion that anything can be made into a musical if it has the right creative team.
But my follow-up question then is, was this the musical? It's exactly the right, you gave me exactly the right intro to this, or segue to this, because I don't feel that this is the appropriate musical for this particular subject. There's mostly the songs, and I was able to hear all the lyrics. I had an excellent seat, and I heard
a nice change of pace.
Yes, I know that you're always concerned about that, but it was very important because all of the important information about what was happening basically was in the song. They did have little scenelets in between, but the songs were pushing the show, and unfortunately,
which is what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, the idea is, okay, someone once said, and you'll tell me who it was. It might have been Richard Rodgers. I don't remember, but whoever it was said that when the emotion is so strong in you on stage that you can say nothing, you have to sing. You want to express an emotion, and it's too strong, and so you sing. That's where the song comes from. So you can't just paste a song into, say scene 3, 5 minutes in, we're putting a song. You can't do it that way. It has to come from character. It has to come from feeling. Those two things are very important.
And is it your contention that is not what happened?
No, my contention is that a good half of these songs were, let's move the exposition along, but we'll make it a song so it's not as boring as just plain exposition. And so you hear the song telling you what was going on, or what happened before, or what happened now, or what I want to do, or and as opposed to expressing feeling. There were a couple of songs that did. I don't remember which ones.
I think it's always been my contention that the song is supposed to do both. A good song gives you an idea of what the character singing it is like, moves the plot along, or both. And you're saying that's what happened here, but it lacked emotion.
The characters as written are cardboard, and therefore, Scott Bakula, who's a fun actor, he really is. I mean, I was a quantum leap. I watched them all twice. I kept thinking one day he would leap into my house, and I would not let him go. I really thought that. And even with gray hair, he's still quite a good-looking guy. Anyway, because not unlike yourself, Charlie.
He plays the editor, and yes, his character is considered, a very prestigious person. One of the top people in journalism.
But he also talks about his background, how he got the job, and the guy who started the magazine, and what the ethos is, and what the rules are, and how we always tell the truth. I mean, that's
right.
That's
and I'll have to say it was a realistic portrayal.
But when this kid comes on, when the young guy comes on, 2 seconds he's a fake. 2 seconds he's a con man. They cast an actor who looked like a con man. They didn't have to do that. They could have had a straight arrow guy,
Ben Levy Ross.
What?
Ben Levy Ross played the reporter.
Yes, yes. And they kept it, interestingly enough, they kept the con man white. The con man at the Times was black. Might have been a more interesting story had they stuck to that kind of, the way these things were done. I don't know if that made any difference to
I don't think we
anybody.
mentioned this is based among other things on a reporter in the Times who fabricated
Yes.
stories.
Yes, and just broke the spine of the Gray Lady. I mean, really and truly. And one of the most important characters, of course, is Muriel, who is the fact checker.
Right.
And she's not unlike the fact checker at the Real New Yorker, who's a famous person. I don't remember. I mean, she's a famous character, but I don't remember her real name. But you did not get anything past that woman. She went, where did you find this? Who said this? What, what's the, give me a phone number that I can call to double check it. And that was the way she worked. And somehow he got his stories in because the editor really liked him.
Well, the
editor was kind of grooming him.
The editor saw himself in him. And he comes in, and this kid did his homework, at least researching the paper. He knew the paper's history. He was a good writer. The problem is he was supposed to be reporting, and he was writing fiction. He was a great fiction writer. Jessica Molaski played Muriel very nicely, I might add. And also Hannah Cruz, who played a would-be reporter, someone who wanted to be a reporter. She'd been on the staff, and she's waiting.
No, she's already a reporter. Wait. She's already a reporter, but they give her soft puff pieces to do. Well, she wants to go out and.
If they give her anything, she submits all these pieces, but none of them are published.
Well, yes, okay, yeah.
She finally leaves for another paper, and she sees this whiz kid just steamroller off of her. Okay, so did you enjoy the music? Did you enjoy the score?
No, I didn't enjoy the music. I began to look at each character. I really came out of the play and began to look at the characters, and I saw that Scott Bakula's character, although he talks about wanting the truth, doesn't seem to see that this guy is not telling the truth. I mean, you think if somebody had worked for 30 years finding the truth, that he would recognize instantaneously a guy who's not telling it. Mm-hmm. And he's so enthralled with this kid, not just because he sees himself in it, but because I think he's grooming him to become maybe the next head of the paper. Who knows? The magazine is not a paper, but a magazine. Wouldn't
be surprised. But he was blinded by the light. But we do have to move on.
Okay.
How many plays would you give this?
Oh, well, gee whiz. I thought we would talk a little more about it. I will say that Bayer at Barrett's set design was immaculate. It was really gorgeous. And the direction by Daisy Prince was fine. I had no problem with the direction. But it was the casting that was really off for me. Okay, I'll now.
I don't know. I thought the cast was very good. One shout out I'd like to mention Melinda Hull as.
Yes. Oh, yes.
She's this woman who just keeps writing into the paper, and if anything gets past Muriel, it doesn't get past her, and it's a great comic relief.
It's a lovely little comic bit, and it's the kind of thing that can steal a show.
Right.
It's little pieces, and as you say, you're the one she got to you, so she satisfied that. But you asked me what I would give it, and
yes, I did.
I liked so many of the people in the show, but I didn't care for the show that much. So I would give it 2.5.
Really?
Jason Robert Brown's songs did the job. I didn't think that I didn't walk out humming anything,
Well, that may be a compliment, because that's what they always said about Stephen Sondheim.
I hum Stephen Sondheim all the time.
Okay. I enjoyed the show a bit more than you did. I think you're questioning, you're basically saying maybe it should have been just a straight play, and I understand the point. I did enjoy it as a musical, and I'll give it, I'd say, 3.25.
Okay. Well, that's why we do what we do.
Indeed.
I'm moving on to the play Approprate.
And just in case Mona or Muriel, you're watching, we were there. Yeah. We saw the play. We have the programs to prove it.
Our fact checking may be off sometimes, but we were there.
Our next play is Approprate.
So we're moving into a play that is meaningful to just about everybody who sees it, because we are all in the generations of either leaving things after we die, for those who are there, our children, our relatives of one sort or another, to pick through and to get rid of for us, And that's what the play is about. We've seen other plays like this, but Brandon Jacobs Jenkins does a fantastic job with this particular way of doing this. First of all, he's a Black writer and it's an all-white cast. I find that intriguing. And we'll find out at the end why that is, but I'm not going to tell that part of the story because that's the kicker. And I remember seeing this. I did not know who Brandon Jacobs Jenkins was at the time. Of course, now he's writing, he's got a TV show, he's all over the place. But it was the first play of his I'd ever seen. And I thought, wow, a new writer, a new voice. The way it was done off Broadway, and I'm afraid he's had time to tinker with it because I think it's not as sharp as it was. I think he may have tried to update it a little bit to what's going on now in some way. I could be wrong. I did not read a script, so I could be wrong. But I got that feeling. In any case, Sarah Paulson, the lovely Sarah Paulson, plays the elder unmarried sister of two siblings who are very strange age. I mean, she's probably close to 50. Her brother, Corey Stoll, is probably 45. And then the younger brother, Michael Esper, I don't know, I'm not sure how old he's supposed to be, but he acts like a child. So, he's the ne'er-do-well of the family. And Corey Stoll's character has children. So there they are all together.
Two of them have children. One has a daughter. They live in New York, and he's married to a Jewish woman. The one you spoke about, the oldest one who's been handling the estate, she has a son who was expelled from school, I think, for drugs, and it cost her job as the vice principal. And then there's the younger brother who's there with his hippy-dippy girlfriend, and everyone in the girlfriend's family happens to be a lawyer. When I saw the show, I took my daughter with me, my daughter Miriam, and she turned to me after the show and said, well, that was a thing. And to me, that was the perfect way to describe it. I don't know what you
said. That was what?
A thing. That was a thing.
You can't win them all.
And I think she was absolutely right. And I'm looking at it, and I'm watching this very long show, which gets, to me, extremely uninteresting. And you have all these characters. You have revelations that I think in any kind of family would have come out years ago. They are gathering at their father's estate. The estate was a former plantation because they're going to auction it off. Their father has died, and this is the first time the family has been together in many years.
And they all need money. Every single one of them needs money.
Issues come up. They make a lot of long and boring speeches.
I really think that that's where the tinkering came in. I remember it being fast. It was funnier than it is now. I remember laughing a lot. But again, I'd have to read both scripts to make that. And I didn't
laugh.
I know.
I wanted to walk on stage and slap them.
Yeah.
Hey, get some sense, you guys. I mean, it really got to be ridiculous, and it was long.
Wow, Charlie.
Or it certainly felt.
What about the performances? What about the set?
The performances were excellent. These are ironically well-drawn characters. But if I were to say I were entertained by this show, it would not be appropriate for me to say that.
I'm going to go on. I know that's a perfect button, but I'm going to go on. Lila Newberger directed. I feel that I'm in the middle of this, and I know you have been also with your mother's things and other people's things. You've had to go through stuff. It's very hard to go through the past of people that you knew but didn't know really. I mean, you knew them, of course. You knew them as a parent, or you knew them as a grandfather or something. And suddenly they're real people for some reason. You pick up a notebook and a letter falls out or a flower falls out, and suddenly, that grandfather is somebody else. He was a young lover, and that kind of thing. So that's what goes on in the mind of somebody, I think, trying to show what's going on. This is a bunch of, and they were not, I don't remember them being, they were angry, yes. They were dysfunctional, yes. But they had things to say to each other that were biting and funny. And they're not saying, I don't know if it's the actors or if it's the, I don't know where it comes from.
Or the direction or the revision.
Oh,
But it sounds
exactly.
like this is
The revision is what I'm
a very
concerned.
different play than you saw off Broadway.
I think
And whatever you saw there, I certainly didn't see on stage
I realize that.
at this production.
But the point that I was trying to make was that the thing about this play is that, not unlike the Danny DeVito show at the Roundabout, I Need That, people are going through the getting rid of stuff or the having to go through someone's estate. There's nobody who hasn't been touched by that, except the very, very, very young. You know, anybody over the age of 40 has been through it or is going to be through it very shortly. And it's something that's in our DNA right now. And I don't know why it didn't play better this time. That's all I'm trying to say. And if you really disliked it as much as you did, then I don't know. It must be because I saw a different play. That's all I can say.
Well,
because I really loved it.
I suspect you did. How many
Yeah, I
plays?
didn't love it this time. And I agree with you that there were longers going on, amongst the actors. I don't quite know why.
I'm going to give this 2.5 playbills.
For old time's sake only, I will give it a 2.75.
Okay.
And I would like to, I just would like to say something about the set designer. So the set designer is someone I'm not familiar with. It's DOTS, all lowercase. I don't know if that's a company or a person, but that's and I thought that it was you got the sense of a spacious place, which I think was
given what we're seeing, that maybe there should be a Tony Award for best designed house this year. Let's talk about 5, the musical that you can see if you don't have a budget for 6.
It's a fun show. It is a takeoff on 6, obviously. Only instead of Henry VIII's 6 wives, it's Donald Trump's wives and girlfriends, and they come out to the number 5 the way they've chosen to play it, plus a special secret guest who shows up at the end. And I'm not going to spoil that by saying who. I'll tell you who plays it, but I won't tell you who it is. Yes. If you can't figure it out on your own, you don't deserve to go see it.
She is also a woman who had a big impact on Donald Trump's life.
On Donald Trump, exactly. She fell on him one day. Anyway, among the choices that our musician friends have decided to satirize are Ivana, who knows she's dead, but's there anyway. Ivanka, who is not dead, is very small but large where it counts and very voluptuous. You have Marla, who is actually kind of cute. You have Stormy, she's just Stormy. She's a big gal, and she's dressed in an outfit that leaves you no choice but to know what her job is. And you have Melania.
I have to say, though, that these women resemble the women in Trump's life about as much as the performers in 6 resemble the wives of Henry VIII.
Well, or you look like me and I look like you, right? There's no resemblance whatsoever, except a little bit around the eyes in Melania.
On occasion.
She almost makes it. But that's not what's important. What's important is that they play the characters. They play the essence of the characters. And that's so important, especially in a little show like this. It's it's about an 80-minute show, I think. But it plays well, and you're happy watching it. And you wouldn't be there if you weren't in a specific Trump, you're not going to go there to boo what these people are doing. So it's a very receptive audience. And it's like being in Saturday Night Live audience, I would imagine. And they do well. The songs are funny. They are by Shimmy. You're going to love this. Shimmy Brown and Moishel Newman Daphna. Moishel Newman Daphna was once upon a time a little Hasidic boy. And he is now a songwriter on Broadway or off Broadway. And so they did the book and lyrics, and then the music and lyrics, some of the lyrics were done by Billy Recce. I think that's how you say his name, Recce.
To me, I'm watching the show, and I have seen 6. And it pretty much follows the 6 template and structure all the way through, with one exception, which I'll get to momentarily. And to my mind, if you've seen 6, I don't know if you really want to bother with.
Yeah, but I haven't. So you see, it was fun for me. I haven't seen it. Right. So it was fun.
there is one thing that I loved about the show. And that is, and we mentioned there is actually a number 6 who comes on.
The special guest is played by Jasmine Rice LaBeija.
Yeah, she comes on and everything changes. She just dominates the stage. She takes the show. She is so over the top. And when you think about it, over the top is exactly what you want if you're doing a show that involves Donald Trump. And
Right.
she just grabs it and goes with it. And it's unfortunate because she's only on for a relatively small part
Well,
of the
she's
show.
also
But
the
to
11
me,
o'clock number,
that
Charlie.
made the evening for me.
Yeah, but Charlie, she's the 11 o'clock number. She has to come out at the end of the show and bring the house down. That's the way the 11 o'clock number always was. The other actors in the show, or actresses, we don't say actresses anymore. We say actors.
We can say
okay.
actresses.
The other actors are Ivana is played by Ani Anasa. Stormy is played by Gabby Garcia. Marla is played by Gabriela Joy Rodriguez. Ivanka is played by Hannah Bonnet. Melania is played by Jamie Lee Beatty. And then, as we said, the secret guest is played by Jasmine Rice LaBeija. Right. And it's I just think it's a fun show.
Jen Weinman directed. If you haven't seen 6, why not?
Go see 5.
If you have, you probably don't need to see 5.
I think the top ticket price is $45, and you can probably get a student ticket or a senior ticket. That's almost a movie ticket these days.
Yeah. How many playbills would you give this?
Oh, I would give it 3.5. 4 for effort, maybe, but 3.5. Solid.
I will give it 3. And certainly you do get a lot of bang for your buck.
Okay.
on the show. Now, last season, I had the pleasure of reviewing Merrily We Roll Along off Broadway. Leslie was unable to accompany me. However, she has now seen it on Broadway. So we're going to go to a place we call Leslie's Lounge. And you're going to tell us your view.
I am very happy to have you all in my lounge. So in my lounge, I've had time to think about Merrily We Roll Along. And I know how many times I've seen it. I've seen it 8 times, which also involved going down to Washington to see it. Do you need me to run through the story really quickly? Three best friends, Franklin and Charlie and Mary. And actually, okay, I'll leave that for the moment. And at one point in time, Wayne Brady was cast as Charlie. They've done all kinds of casting, and they've tried this and they've tried that. And people now seem to believe that in this version by Maria Friedman, which came in from London, they have the perfect or near perfect Merrily We Roll Along. Because Merrily We Roll Along was a Sondheim flop. It ended the relationship of Sondheim and Hal Prince until they did Bounce Downtown for many, many years, 30 years or more. And people have been trying to fix it all along. The beautiful thing about Merrily We Roll Along is those 3 characters and the songs, the beautiful, beautiful songs. I mean, and they have an overture, and the minute the overture starts, my heart just leaps out. It comes up to here, and I start to hum, and I start to sway. And I mean, they are some of the most beautiful melodies. It started out like a song, Our Time, Hey Old Friend, Not a Day Goes By. These are songs that have become part of the American Songbook. And they can be sung, they're not songs like Sweeney Todd and Make Pies and Kill People. They're songs. They're lovely.
In fact, there is a number where Sondheim gets a dig in, and everybody who's ever said your songs are not hummable. And you should also mention that this is told backwards. It starts, I think, in 1975.
Yes, well, that was the trick of the play they took it from by Kaufman and Hart. Yes. And that's what the problem has been, too, I think. I think people just can't wrap their heads around it, and something gets lost about them. Because when you first see Franklin, who is the success of the group, you see him having a big success with his second wife, who's a Broadway star.
The story is how Franklin Shepard started off as an idealist and then gave up his ideals for success, while his partner, Charlie Kringus, held on to ideas and the consequences. And then, of course, there's
Right.
Mary. And this is
And
where
there-
I have a problem with this show. The emphasis of the show has always been the relationship between Frank and Charlie. It's Frank, Charlie, and then there's Mary. Here, the director who played Mary in an earlier production has changed the dynamic to Frank, Mary, and then there's Charlie. And I don't think that works. So I did like this production. Do I think it's the ultimate Merrily? No, I've seen productions that I've liked better.
Yeah, but let me say something about that, because Jonathan Groff is superb. Jonathan Groff is so superb that he wipes everybody else off the stage. He is perfect as Franklin. He is just enough of an idealist in the beginning to become an absolutely rotten success at the end, and yet do it with a smile and think that his friends still love him. And it's in the casting. Daniel Radcliffe is diminutive. Jonathan Groff towers over him. Mary is a little on the Zoftig side. She's plain. Those two walk on the stage, and you know that they're failures. You know, I mean, Charlie's not a failure.
Charlie ends up as a major artistic success. Charlie is basically Charlie is Sondheim.
What Maria Friedman did is to overshadow the casting of the two characters, Mary and Charlie, by putting Jonathan Groff in that particular role. And then, you would think that because she played Mary, you think it's Mary who dominates it. And of course, to me, it's Franklin who dominates it. I did want to say real quickly, go ahead, what? You're going to say?
It should be Franklin who dominates it, followed by Charlie.
Well, but that's exactly how I saw. No, Charlie is out in the cold in this show. Yes. The next one down is Mary.
And that's the problem I have with it.
Yeah, well, but, again, it's got to do with the way she directed Daniel. I mean, that's the way it comes out.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I had a lovely time hearing the music again. I've never been satisfied with the show. I'm a little more satisfied with this. I love the fiasco that only had like 5 or 7 people in the whole thing. I thought that was a brilliant version of it. And I thought they were all young and they were all eager and they all fit the bill. Okay, so you wanted me to finish. I'm saying bye from the lounge.
All right. And that is our show for this evening. So when you go to the theater, look for Leslie and me, us too.
On the aisle.
We're all unpopular. Become a good God-fearing vegan. Let's get those bodies nice and clean. Free from sin and booze, and worst of all, that COVID SARS vaccine. Unpopular. 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 You're so unpopular. Give me a U. Give me an N. Give me all the other letters. It's me who celebrates you when even Jesus hates you. 'Cause the United States knew I'm the most popular. Unpopular. Unpopular. I'm coming for all you bitches.